Tim McNeal, a grandson of Aaron Ross McNeal, who we refer to as grandfather. The following is an interview with grandfather recorded about a year and a half before his death in September of 1980. Asking questions of grandfather are our grandchildren, Steve McNeal, Max McNeal, myself, and my wife. In the background, you will hear some of grandfather's great-grandchildren. Due to the nature of the setting at times, this recording may be a little to be desired. But we're sure that those who knew grandfather will find this interview to be quite memorable. And now, here's grandfather.
Well, I don't know where to start or what to tell. What did he want to just after started playing basketball or something like that, or from the start?
Oh? Well, were you born?
Where I was born 4 miles west of Atlanta in a log house. House that my grandparents built when they come from Ohio in a covered wagon.
Wow.
And my mother died when I was day before I was 4 years old. And I went to my grandmother and 2 aunts lived in a frame house, and my father and my sister and I lived with them for 4 years. And 5 years, rather. And father married again, and we built a new house, and moved to that. I went to school, high school in Atlanta, in the horse and buggy days, went from one fence to the other, start through some places, didn't know whether he'd going to be able to get through or not. Graduated from Atlanta High School, the first 4 years that they had school there. And I was married in 25. Moved over in Hamilton, bought a small farm over in Hamilton County, and it was a log cabin. I lived in that for a few years, built a new house there, and but before this, should have mentioned high school, that I played in the first game of basketball was played in this part of the country. And it was a senior year. That was the first basketball played in that country. In the small towns in Hamilton County that didn't have a football team started playing basketball in the fall, outdoors. We never got, any of us never seen a basketball until we got our basketball. And of course our scores were enormous at that time. Maybe don't remember much about scores, but they're around 10 to 20 points, baskets to a game. And we played 10 games. We won 4 of them. Won Fisher Station, South, Moxleytown, West, and Bistro, Arcady, Fisher Station. We won 6 of the 10 games. And then that, about senior year, about ended my close contact with Atlanta and the high school. I'd go down once in a while, play with the boys, but not very often. And well, if anything more from there on, nothing very, very important that I can think of. Except I was married, had four boys, all live wires. All married. Grandchildren are scattered from California to Washington, D.C. Well, finally traded farms, lived over half a mile over in Hamilton County on what was a range line road, become 31, hauled gravel on what is now 31 to build the first gravel road to Zone 31. To that church on Center Grove, half a mile at 28. I remember one time, two aunts and I went to church. Coming home, I told them I'd walk, and they could come in the buggy. So I walked to the East Union Church, got there before they got there in a horse and buggy. Later, that church was disbanded, and we went into the church, Presbyterian Church in Tipton. I don't know anything much. Do you have any questions you want to ask about things during the 95 years living? How's that?
Mom liked to hear some funny stories like that together. Why wouldn't let it get attractive?
Well, we've got plenty of noise now. That's about all.
Have you folks someplace before? Well, don't let me stop you. Keep talking.
Legs run out. I didn't have very much to start in to say.
He needs
Good question, Esther.
motivational support. Right. Yeah, one thing leads to another.
We got talking
yeah.
about basketball.
This morning you were talking quite a bit. Yeah, you were on the first team, weren't you?
Yeah.
Because I've got a newspaper clipping or something
Yeah.
that shows that.
The Indiana Times had
What do you mean? You mean it wouldn't take much? Well, can you think of anything interesting that happened when you were a little boy? No, don't tell me. You were never a little boy, right? You're always our grandfather.
Well, not a little
I don't
boy.
remember you when I was little. You do? No? Oh, okay. Because how could that be?
Not a little boy. My playthings were broomsticks and a horse and wagon, steel wagon tire, buggy tire, wire around that, hold the wire and run that thing all over the place. That was a lot of fun.
Did you help your dad on the farm?
I started then when I was 6 years old. I rode the horse to hire some ground, and my father had to be gone that afternoon. My grandmother went out and sat under the shade of a tree to see if we got into any trouble while she straightened me out. Well, my brother was never able to work like I did, and he got to be 9 years old. I thought it was time for him to try that. So he went with me out the field with 3 horses to Spring-Tooth Hara, and he started out and come to the first corner, and he went to turned too short. One half of the Spring-Tooth Hara turned over forward and hit the horse that he was riding, and the other 2 was a little bit wild anyway, and he was an old one. So they go a little faster than he did. They just come around in a circle, and I run across ahead of them and stopped him. But that stopped brother's hiring. I had to take over.
How old were you at the time?
19 at that time.
Oh.
He was, I think he was 9, if I remember right.
What brother was that?
Malcolm? He never got out to work, but he had leakage of the heart. Time his baby. And I started in when I was 6.
Just tell them about that time 31 was still a dirt road. Turned over that buggy. Wasn't it turned over?
No, it didn't turn over. The 2 ants, when we'd start home, I told them I'd walk and they could drive 3.5 miles. So I did, and I got the East Union on 31 before they did on the horse.
No, I meant, there was one time talking about the colored guys come up there.
Oh, yeah, my cousin and I was coming home in a cart, and we got caught up with them, and they were just walking, and so my cousin was driving. He pulled out and go around them, just got even with them, and they yelled at their horses. They'd been used to running races, so we had a race right there. And we went around them and come up home. Why, they were getting ready to build a fence out in front. They had the posts up for the gate, and then the fence west of that. And didn't have in yet. Well, the horse aimed to turn in that gate, but didn't quite make it, and turned the cart upside down and threw me up in the air. A couple fellows from Tipton was on the road there to the south. They saw all of it, or the end of it anyway. And they said it was me 20 foot high. I think they guessed a little bit high.
Was really only 19, huh?
Yeah. And turned over and my cousin, and so did him, so his foot caught in the cart. And the horse run about 80 rod within dragging behind, 1 foot caught in the cart.
Who's cousin? Who's cousin?
Roscoe Williamson. No, you don't know him. Didn't know. I don't know what cousin, how far back they were cousins, but
I got a question for you.
all right.
How long is a rod?
Just a rod long.
I'm glad I asked that question.
Just one rod long. How long is 3 rods?
3 rods long, okay. I feel so much better now that I have the answer. They wanted to wait to trip over here after all.
Oh, it was 16 feet, something. 16 2/3 feet?
Yeah.
Huh? Is that right?
16 and a half.
16 and a half?
How did they? Well, what is a rod anyway? Is it some? How did they arrive at that measurement? Or is it something that that you use on the farm, or where did the term rod come from? Why do farmers use it?
Boy, how'd you expect me to answer all those questions like that?
Gee, I just thought maybe you'd know.
Why do you tell me?
I don't have the foggiest idea. I've just heard you use the term rod quite a bit, and I know that they use it in measuring real estate. And they still use it in measuring real estate. However, I don't know what it is or what.
Well, in the government, their program that measured all this land, it was measured by the rod. If there wasn't a rod, why there's so many rods and so many feet.
Well, I'll tell you one everybody would like to know your courtship to grandmother.
Oh yeah, that would be
How did
interesting.
you meet her? Where was she? Who was she?
Well, I knew some of her brothers. One of her brothers married a girl that went to our church, and I was invited to the wedding. I went to their wedding, and one of them was our minister, and I'd heard about him. Just sister of the girl one of them married. that family were good friends. This girl had talked to my folks about this family. I'd heard something about it. But I didn't know anything about the girls. Never seen them or spoke to them or anything. And we was at a party. Happened to be at the same party one night. I don't know how it come, but I don't know to talk to her. But I decided to go on a date with her. And so the only way I knew was to write a letter. I wrote her a letter for a date. Got a date. And I didn't know exactly where they lived. Knew about. We got up to one corner right east of their house, about 3/4 of a mile. Didn't know which way to turn. So I just went on straight north, getting dark. Man, it must have been dark, but I caught up the fellow walking. And I asked him if he knew where her father lived. He told me where he lived, and I had to turn around, go back across the road and go west. It was the first house on the north side of the road. So I turned around and go back there, went in and just kept going.
How old were you?
25. No,
Old man then.
no, I wasn't 25.
That's when you got married, wasn't it?
25 when we got married.
What was a party like back then? What'd you do at a party?
Well, what did
See?
Did you have
Too old, he don't remember.
Did you have, in a lot of the movies that you see now, the times that, let's say in the early 1900s or whenever, late 1800s, they always showed, or before that, they always showed square dancing in the big barn and things like that. Was that,
no.
is that made for TV, or was that?
But the one, I used to play drop the handkerchief in a circle, you see him do that. And we're trying to form that circle. And there'd be two girls on one side and boy on the other, usually. And they'd hold hands up, and they'd hold hands, and the rest of them would march around. Well, there's 4 of them. No, 2. And, let's see, what was it? Yeah, they get, and they'd stop whoever won, if they wanted to kiss that. When the girl had come in, and you wanted to kiss that girl, you'd hold your hand down to stop her. And then,
Like today, isn't it?
and then she would stop then. She'd be one of the old guys. There's a boy on it. Boys change. That's one thing. And drop the handkerchief. It was so he could see at night enough to do it. I don't know hardly what they did do. Oh, it had a guessing game somewhere, where they work out. Well, here's a sample. Galveston. And the one that was to do the acting, he was going to try to fool me. And it's one of them, well, anyway, Galveston, big gal with a vest on. That's just one sample.
Kind of Caroline.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that a good time? There was a bunch out there, Center Grove Church, Independence, Bethesda. And, well, they just kind of went together and have parties every once in a while.
How far did you usually travel? I mean, when you had parties or get-togethers or whatever, usually it was fairly local, wasn't it? No more than like maybe 5 miles?
Parties were. Seemed like the railroad was a sort of a dividing line. One south went together more than they didn't exactly mix like they do on one side.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the north side while he was with one part. South side while he was with another part.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I don't know how it come to choose over there.
Other side of the track.
Yeah.
How's that?
Did she come from the other side of the track?
Yeah, she was on the outside.
Because you weren't married by 13, leave down the hills while you're an old maid. How'd it come to year 25 before you got married?
I don't think there's as far as I know, there wasn't any difference then and now about that.
By age.
Please stop your machine at this point and turn the tape over.
I don't think there's as far as I know, there wasn't any difference then and now about that.
By age.
Some of them got married too young then to do yet. Like, there's a tournament, there's a woman that owned 8 acres there by Jackson Station. And we couldn't figure out who it was. And fella run the elevator there at Jackson. I stopped there and talked to him one day. Asked who she was. And I said his former wife. Said that it was, he didn't blame her and she didn't blame him, I guess. Said they were just too young. So young they didn't know whether they loved one another or not. Thought they did. And that happened then. It happens now.
Well, you've had a really interesting and full life.
Yeah,
A lot of stories.
yeah. Albert Michael lived up that way, and he went from the girl on back this way. we'd meet once in a while. Night, going home. And I went home one night and I looked around. There was a telephone pole. And I was wondering telephone poles on 131 now. So I thought, well, where am I? And I went a little farther, and the horse turned at a gate. I said, well, I don't know where I am yet. I backed up, rode down the road a little piece, kind of light, so we kind of see lightning. I was down half a mile east there at George Bowers'. I knew where it was then. I turned around, got in.
Huh. Made a wrong turn, huh?
Horse knew, all right.
Yeah, I was going to say your horse knew where he was going.
Yeah.
That's what they call horse sense.
Yeah.
I had a dog that said, go in here, and my grandmother and my aunts lived up just north of that road there a little piece. And then the new house that we built was over here. There was a road here. And he would sleep, and they had a back porch. It was just boards up off the ground a piece, and then the kitchen over here. That dog now would sleep over there. Nearly every night, if I come from the west, he'd be down to the gate to me. One night, the gate to go to the barn was on the east side of the house, and so I'd come in there, and so I come in one night, and I just come around that corner, and boy, that dog hadn't seen me that night, and scared the dog, and he just yelped and run off of those boards and got down underneath. Well, I was scared about as bad as the dog. I think I couldn't move her. He wasn't very far from me. I never thought of a dog did that.
Have any wild animals back around Tipton County?
Before my time, the deer used to come. It was on the east side of the house, about 20 rods. They had a path back and forth.
Well, that kind of stopped all that with all the fencing, didn't it?
Yeah, they didn't. I never saw any. That was a little before my time.
Mm-hmm.
What was school like when you went to school?
It was reading, writing, arithmetic. Slate. Didn't have paper then. Much of it anyway. We did all our work on slate.
Each person had their own slate?
Yeah.
Huh.
On their desk. And the schoolhouse I started in was just half a mile west of where I lived. It was back off the road. Oh, between a quarter and a half mile. And it burned. The schoolhouse burned down. plate, first reader. And then went to the other schoolhouse. That was a mile east and a half mile north. I went there for a few years. And then they did away with that and built one just half a mile north of where I live. You see, the schoolhouses were built on one road, and then over here it'd be about a half a mile or a mile and a half or 2 miles, be another row of schoolhouses. And but that one was built out of line. It didn't just sit in the line. And they built one then where it wasn't. Where I lived is Tipton County was a half mile, a little over half mile to school. And Weed Corner in Hamilton County was a mile, just a mile and a half between. High school, the ones in the high school lived on that road, went to Atlanta school, high school.
Well, they probably had small classes back then.
I started in class, I had just 3 years high school when I started. And there's 10 girls and 3 boys. And we wound up graduating to 4 boys and 4 girls in the South.
I don't know.
I had some questions to decide. 2 girls maybe one thing, the other 2 one something else. They couldn't get together, and then it turned over to me.
So you were the one who decided everything.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is nowadays too. When the women can't decide something, then they let the men make a decision. And as long as they know what they want to do, you don't get to make a decision.
No. I sat up next to the front. The girl sat in front of me. She graduated from the 3 years. The year before that. She was out of school 1 year, and then she come back and graduated 4 years. And there was boardwalk from the street north down the schoolhouse, and they'd come just behind us. And then from there on, well, this went every place.
And most of the people that you went to school with, did they stay in this area?
No,
Or did they all go to other parts of the country to do things?
most of them left. Of course, there wasn't any in Tipton County only that I have in Atlanta, there close to Atlanta. Hamilton County, rather.
Did you have any school reunions or anything that you could find out what all your classmates were doing?
Well, that's kind of an interesting thing to do. They started that just after we graduated. And I went every time there, and for a while. And then after we was married and farther away, and I lost contact with the ones that was going to school there. So I never went to the reunion. The whole high school, wasn't there classes in high school. And I hadn't been there for 2 years, and got a letter from one of the girls. She stayed there. She married the doctor there. But I got a letter from her. We got 1 minute to come to the reunion. So I thought, well, somebody wants me to come, I guess just go. No, I didn't miss one until here just 2 years ago. And that reunion, and they quit having high school there. That reunion would have 130 there.
Wow.
And, I haven't been there the last 2 years. I got so I didn't know the ones that, well, there was 3 of us in the class left till just here a few years ago. And we were all there, but some of the classes wasn't there very there. Well, of course, many anyhow. But the other classes were more graduated, our class. But now they don't want, let's see, Cicero, Arcady, Fishers, Plata, all gone now. But to still have a reunion, still have a big crowd. Last time I was there, I didn't know hardly anybody. So, Ann Doversberger, she got to go. She got Hazel Groves here at Tipton. She was one, there's 2 of us living yet. She's still there.
Was she in your class?
Yeah. She lives right there just west of the church, that first house. She was all the girls. 3 of the girls taught school, 1 of them taught music. And one day at recess, we had a couple of fellows. One of the other boys, I was sitting close together, we talked to one another. He says, are you going to teach school? Says the rest of the girls are. So they did, all the rest of the girls, all the girls did.
You went to Purdue too, didn't you?
How's that?
Did you go to Purdue?
I took 2 short courses out there.
Does that take about a year or half a year or
10 weeks.
10 weeks? Oh. Purdue was probably pretty small then, huh? How big was it?
Small compared to what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had a short course there for 10 weeks. And then there was another meeting. I forget what they called that. But it was,
Are you sure that's a horse?
that was anybody.
Could it be an elephant?
Take that.
Couldn't be an elephant.
210
How about a
first
rhinoceros?
210 people in the whole school?
year. No, 210.
Oh.
Along this
Big
association.
horse.
Oh.
You like to ride horse?
Now, this is different from the 10 weeks I took, I didn't have anything to do with it. But it was an agricultural
Yeah.
organization, both of them.
They ought to have some sort of an organization where farmers nowadays can go and find out how to do things the right way from all the older farmers that have been doing it for all these years. That you probably got a lot of information that you could tell these people, the younger farmers, on how to plant crops and
Right.
at the right time in the right place and the way to do it.
You're right if you count the time, short time afterwards. But you can't go very far back. Forward, without going far.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, yes, would, but I don't know whether they have that now or not. I haven't heard anything about it. They had for several years. One time we took a trip, part of us did, down south part of the state and around to visit purebred livestock.
Were you keeping track of the corn crops last year and this year?
Keeping track, what do you mean?
See if the yield is up and how good the quality of the corn is.
Oh boy. We had 2 years and we had 36 bushels an acre. Last year we had 115, 6/10 bushels an acre.
That's really raised.
I don't know how many had that, but I didn't know. I haven't heard of somebody. I suppose there was somebody. No, it's, well, I haven't got all the money yet to get that sometime. But last year's crop really brought some money. We had almost 80 acres too.
What made last year so good? Was it just the weather, or was it?
Mostly the weather.
Do you think this year's going to be good? Have we had about the same kind of weather
That
up
depends
till
on,
now?
That depends on the weather from now till harvest time.
I thought maybe it had something to do with the amount of moisture that would be in the ground at the beginning before you even plant. During the winter,
Well,
getting the ground ready.
That'll help some, but you got to have some after that. That was a big problem.
Now, we were standing out there this morning looking out at the field out behind the house. And
Don't look the same, does it?
no, it's without all the barns, the extra barns, was it the corn crib? And the tractor shed, that's gone. And yeah, the only thing it's the pig, long shed. Is that what that was? Where all the pigs were? All that's the only thing left is the barn there. And then the other thing I noticed that's missing is all the fences. Because I remember that you had all those fences all around there. It appears that there for a while everybody was going towards putting fences in. And now they're getting away from it because it just looks like it's just totally open.
Well, I haven't even got a cat or a dog to turn them anymore. Well, I don't know what you thought about it, but you're not going to get as much money from meat from No, it had before.
Oh, what? No, I thank you for what you said to it. It was really, really appreciated, and I never expected to get anything anyway. You know, I just was really, really surprised. Really appreciated it. He sure didn't have to do it, and it sure wasn't expected. I was really
Max
surprised.
is partly responsible for that.
Well, he didn't earn all the time on the farm, and all. You're the one that did all that.
Well,
I know what you mean.
what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. But, no, it's cut me down the amount of, say, taxes, that's what we did that.
Yeah.
That's, well, I'd have given you some anyway, but that's what I've been doing. What I've got, what I have left, I give it to. Well, you boys come in on some every time. Of course, the other boys, children, maybe, I give them more than grandchildren.
Well, they certainly deserve it. More than we do.
But, no, I don't have any use for any fences now.
It looks wide open without those, without the crops in there. Maybe that's what makes it look so open right now, because all the fields are all plowed.
Yeah.
You can stand on Max's back porch and see clear down to the woods and out there, but there's nothing to block your view. There's no crops.
Except
Picking up
there's 2 acres down there across the creek. Well, it isn't plowed yet. All the others plowed. Get ready to plant, well, I think. Be sure planted. Cleveland put out something there in the last 30 years.
Uh-huh.
And Albert is out west Deacon about 8 plowed or something from our farm. And he don't have enough there, and Creed's had a little too much here. So when they come there full of force.
Yeah.
Boy, they really do it. 3 and 4 tractors.
Not like the old days where you had to do it all yourself, is it?
You know, I can remember when it was walking single shovel or single moldboard plow.
That was probably really work when you did that 1 row at a time.
Yeah.
Behind the horse.
One moldboard to plow and 1 row to cultivate. One at a time. And I've seen a time or two where they plowed one side. Double shovel plow. Plow one side and back down one side, back on the other side of the road. I heard your grandfather tell one time about first row corn he had that didn't have a stump in it.
Well, that ground has seen a lot of action, hasn't it? Out there at the farm.
Yeah.
Got a lot of crops in there.
up taking the fences away as adds a little cultivated land too.
Yeah, I guess you can't plant a crop where the fence is.
They don't have any livestock anymore, so they keep livestock in there.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah, you want to go in and lay down for a while?
I want to get off of this.
Okay. Are you going to help you up?
No,
Okay.
I got something solid where I am.
This completes the interview with my grandfather. This tape was produced by McNeal Audio, Post Office Box 904, Warsaw, Indiana, 46580.